All right, welcome to another Storage Authority webinar. We're going to be covering the human edge. This is how high touch beats high tech. So we're going to deep dive and give you some tips on how to really skyrocket your profits there. Just quickly introducing some of our team. Now we have 100 years of experience on the Storage Authority team. With us today, we got Drew Case. He's the Director of Operations. We got Josh Parker. He is our Director of Technology. And I'm the VP of Storage Authority. And, I've been with the company now going on 8 years where, we help busy professionals get into our space. So, find land, get approvals, get developed, run a first-class facility. That's really what our model is all about. Some owners are converting, older, excuse me, mom and pops, or they're converting big box stores as well. But, into the line though, we're trying to help them get into our space and run a multi-million-dollar asset. So as we get rolling here, we got a lot of questions we want to cover or tips we want to share with you guys. So feel free to ask away, and I'm gonna have some polls up too. But really, we're gonna answer the question of what is high tech and high touch, and I'm gonna throw that to Josh here on our team.
Awesome, thanks, Garrett. So when we talk about high tech and high touch, there's kind of always this question of is one better than the other, or which way do I go? And so from our perspective, it's always a balance, right? So high tech referring to using technology to do things like automate or streamline processes, and then the high touch side, getting those personal human interactions with our customers. And the key really, we believe, to dominating your market is to find that right balance between the two, using technology for efficiency. And there's some must-haves that we believe in, like the online rentals and automated payments and things like that. And then the other must-have for us is providing that personal, exceptional, over-the-top customer service where it matters most. And so combining the two is going to allow you to, dominate your market. I think there's always kind of this misconception that high-tech automated facilities, remotely run, are going to save money. But the reality is that technology is expensive. I think it's a little bit unstable still. You never know if that technology you're going to invest in is going to be outdated in 1 year, 2 years, whatever, and need to be replaced. And then you still have to have that boots on the ground to do the maintenance and that sort of thing. So is it, really worth it? Hypothetically, if your expenses are the same for a manager on site versus an unmanned facility, would you choose to serve your customers better by having a manager on site full time? And if the answer is yes, then, and this is my opinion, high touch trumps high tech. And that doesn't factor in things like, you can charge more for your unit if you have a manager on site. You're going to get better reviews if you have a manager on site. You're going to get more rentals and referrals. So yeah, I think the high touch is definitely going to trump high tech. There's a balance, but
yeah,
towards high touch.
Anything to share there, Drew?
Yeah, I just believe that the high touch aspect of that is what puts you over the top. So I mean, you can have all the gizmos and gadgets, but when you have that additional, or you have that person that really emphasizes or even explains the high tech that you have. I mean, you could have high tech, but if people don't really know how to use it, they're just stumped and they're not getting the full value of your investment. So when you have that balance, certainly someone there to show the customer how to enter the facility, explain to the customer how the security system works, that adds a lot of value. And that's not just helping the customer, it's aiding the customer in understanding the value that they're paying for. And because you get that additional push over the top, that's going to allow you to command higher rates for the facility. It's going to have the customer feel a stronger reward for paying for that unit and the price you're asking for it, because they will experience the value upon every visit. And and obviously the first visit is going to be the most important. And when you come there and develop relationships and they're using the whole facility, again, it's just a full value experience for the customer by the high touch. You could be here with high tech, but you've got to be, when you add the personal touch, you go up a few levels for sure.
Agreed. Yeah, it kind of got trendy with all the automation and unmanned, and not knocking that model at all. There's a space for it. But humans rent from humans. They want that. They don't want to feel cold and transactional. And a lot of times when they come in and it's just all automation, if they have an issue, they want to talk to a manager. If they want to take a site tour, so there is a blend of both. But what I've seen across the board is you have that nice blend and you have a manager to showcase your facility, you're always going to be able to charge more. So that difference on, automating everything and going unmanned, not knocking that, but I've seen it seems to be like they're charging less. So what's the math on that? That's what we got to look at. Jumping into, and actually, I want to share a poll, and I want to leave it up for a little while too, just on staffing the facility. How many hours are you staffing your facility for? So I'll leave that up, and we'll jump into the next question. And that's really into the first class greeting. Like at a high touch facility, what's that greeting look like? Do we have any tips we can share with our attendees that joined us? And Drew, I'll throw that to you.
Yeah, I mean, when a customer comes to your facility, I mean, we like to say, hey, make sure you greet them at the door, open the door for them. They're going to pull in, they're coming. And, you may be with the customer sometimes, but in general, you got to smile, right? And the smile makes you feel good. And even when anybody's talking, anytime somebody smiles when they're talking, it's a really nice, friendly greeting, and get to know their name. Greet them. You're going to want to get their name. You're going to want to say their name when you're speaking to them. And of course, that's the opportunity to introduce yourself. Hey, my name's Drew. How can I make your day better? How can I help you today? Develop some kind of greeting at your location, so that it's personalized. Because, when you personalize this, and that Garrett, you mentioned earlier, people rent from people. So, it's almost like relationships. You only get one time to make that first impression, in a relationship, and they're gonna remember that forever. So when you wow them at the door and get that door for them and greet them, that's going to leave an impact that's going to last a long time. And they're going to think about that when they go to the other facility, that maybe it is a remote facility, and they walk in and it's just a tablet on a pole. You're going to feel different when you come to that location every time. It kind of, when I collect cars, so when I go to an auto parts store and I walk in, and the person's behind the counter, and they might say, "What can I get for you?" Or it's not the greeting I look for. That's going to make me feel good about coming to the location. And I know it's just a functional part, but you feel different when you go to a location and say, hey, how's it going today? What can I help you with? It matters. So,
yeah. How about you, Josh? Anything to add there?
So devil's advocate a little bit, but talking about that in-person greeting, and certainly full of opportunity and super important, makes a whole world of difference. But don't neglect your contactless greetings either. What impressions are your customers getting when they show up after hours? Do you have a kiosk that can connect to a live agent when they go to your website? Maybe a chat bot, something like that. What about when they're getting emails or birthday greetings from you, or text messages to your customers? All those are also places where that greeting, even if it's a digital greeting, really matters and has impact. So, your first class greeting is not limited to your manager, even though, I think that's the most powerful and most impactful. It is more than that. So again, that balance, there are so many opportunities to make that, high tech or high touch first impression, good or bad.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something on there too, Garrett.
Go ahead.
One of the things is we need to listen, right? We always have something to say, or we want to get this information, we want to ask that question or whatever, but listening is huge, because you're going to respond to that with a resolution, or you're going to respond to that with I'm sorry to hear that, or, that's where it becomes personal. They may have a personal matter going on that's tough to deal with and they need your assistance. It may be an exciting new opportunity that they're needing self-storage and your services for. But listening is truly essential to personalize that high touch experience.
Yeah, and one tip I want to add there, you mentioned that's true. You don't rent from behind the desk. So any manager or owner or district manager listening, how many shots a day do we really have a chance to sell a unit? So you see a car pull up, you grab your clipboard, get out from behind the desk. We before COVID, we used to always say, make sure you're shaking hands, but everything got a little different since COVID. But hold the door open and introduce yourself, at least get their name, and hopefully you're offering a bottle of water, a cup of coffee. It's something they don't see in most facilities. So you gotta think retail, and you'll hear us say a lot. We're in the hospitality business. Self-storage might be our vehicle, but we got 20 minutes to make a customer for life. So it really starts with that greeting and making that impact. And honestly, as soon as when you hold that door open and offer them a bottle of water, a cup of coffee, take them on a facility tour, and the rest is smooth sailing. You're not trying to sell from behind the desk. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
And
the
then
cost of that bottle of water is like 20 cents or 15 cents. But,
exactly.
on a hot day, it's worth a few bucks for sure to somebody. So, and they're going to take that with them. Remember that too.
So ending the first poll here, it looks like we got about 40% that are more than 40 hours. 20% were should not be staffed or 0 hours. So, like I said, there's no right or wrong. Every market's going to have its own story, but you got to do what's right. End of the day, we're in this business to make money. Just piggybacking off of that greeting of, what's that high touch greeting look like? Let's get into the customer experience and what's the inside look from that we can share with our listeners on truly making a customer centric facility. I'll throw that to you, Josh.
All right, sure. So first and foremost is having that knowledgeable, friendly staff that's able to assist and kind of keying in there on the knowledgeable and friendly. They've got to know their stuff in order to really, provide that best service. But certainly, having convenient, access and security features, super important. Those value add services, packing supplies and branded moving, truck rentals and things like that at some facilities are going to be, a big seller and a big help. Regular communication and follow-ups with all of your customers, not just new prospective customers, but continuing that communication with your current and existing customers is super important. And then being able to quickly resolve any issues and concerns, and doing their best to keep that customer happy and coming back. So I looked at my last 10 Google reviews for one of the sites I oversee here in Connecticut. All 10 were 5 stars, which is awesome. 7 out of 10 of those reviews called out the staff specifically and the excellent customer service that they received. And the remaining 3 didn't leave comments. They only left 5 stars. So you can see clearly there, just in those 10 examples, how customer centric we operate and the impression that it makes. And so those Google reviews, Google reviews is kind of a hot topic right now, but it's so important. Everyone is looking at reviews. You pop online, you Google a facility, or even just Google, self-storage near me. And one of the first things that pops up for every facility is those reviews. They're right there in your face. You can see, how that facility is performing. So, managers more than just a body on site. They're the ear to that, customer whose parent just passed away. They're the confidence booster to the nervous parent, whose college freshman needs to store their stuff for the summer. And sometimes they're the, here, let me get that, box down off that top stack that your husband, put up there that you can't get down. So doing those little things, going over the top to help the customers, huge, huge, huge.
Well said. Well said. Drew?
you said quite a bit there, Josh. I think you covered a good majority of it for sure. I think a couple of little things, the happy birthday reminders, text, emails, a thank you reminder for your move-in, those little gestures. I know you go to the dentist and you get a card from your dentist every year. And I'm like, why is my dental office sending me a card? But, it actually makes you think about it. Maybe, hey, I got to make an appointment with them again, or, I've been meaning to get that taken care of. It's just it's not only a thank you, but it is a reminder of your business and a reminder of your level of service. So, little things go a long way. But I want to share something also that I've done over the years in the executive level is it's easy to become very complacent at your own facility. And you come in and you see the same thing all the time and you think, oh, it looks fine. Everything's great. But you really need to step back and pretend to be a customer at your own facility. And so you need to use your gate access. You need to do a walkthrough as a customer. What are you seeing when you park out at the street? What are you seeing? Because we just assume the tech works. We just assume everything is going just fine until you actually pull back and pretend to be a customer, act that way as a customer to really get the customer experience. I don't think you know what you need to add and what isn't working and what you're not addressing. And so you need to look at it in that from those eyes. I think that really helps everybody kind of see where you're at. So, you need to figure out where you're going to make those changes and adjustments as you go down the road.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and just to add to that, even from what's behind Drew there, that signage, welcome all who enter as guests leave as friends. I mean, that's a statement that we really live by, and anybody listening, if you don't have one, now we build them into our sites, but have a little coffee bar in a refrigerator where you're giving away free waters, sodas, juice for the kids. We're in the retail business. You got to think hospitality. The days of walking or bringing out the boxes of when somebody buys merchandise, run those boxes out to their car and load them up. When they rent a unit from you, walk out to the gate, make sure their code works so there's no frustrations later on. Excellent time to ask for a Google review in that as well. So, it's just, and I know I mentioned this earlier, you got to think hospitality. You're running a multi-million-dollar real estate asset. How can I make a customer for life in 20 minutes? And you got to think, what the customer needs. Jumping into, building a community-centric facility. What's that look like? And I'll jump in on that one first. And, that's quarterly events and, reaching out to the fire marshal and anybody who's going through some kind of a fire tragedy, let them know that, they can store with you for a couple months. That's making an impact. Letting all the middle school and high school kids run fundraisers and car washes at your site. It's self-storage. We don't have the same foot traffic as retail. So, but what we can do, since we're in the transition business, is help our fellow community and businesses. So you got a blank canvas. It's not like we have a line of customers out the door. So you got to think, how can I get eyes on my site? How can I help community out? One of the things, because I did come up through the trenches of overseeing facilities as well, and one of the things I recall doing was we literally brought in a Santa Claus into our facility. I mean, and we didn't, there's nothing we cheaped out. We spent a lot of money on bringing a first class Santa Claus into the facility, but you can really start promoting it the day after Thanksgiving. Santa's coming to storage. You get out there and market to all the schools and daycares. I mean, you set up a whole unit with a backdrop for Santa. And it's just, you don't think self-storage and Santa Claus, but you wouldn't believe the line of people we had to come see Santa Claus and visit the site. But that's the kind of mentality you have to be the hometown self-storage and really, be that community leader when a lot of the REITs, they don't, they have no interest in being part of the community. It's just price algorithm. So if you really want to be the hometown self-storage, you got to invite the community to your location.
Yeah, totally. We've that just reminded me, Gary, we've also done gift wrapping stations where we wrap people's presents, and a couple $100 worth of wrapping paper, but totally worth it, to get the bodies on site that wouldn't normally stop in. So, and it's a lot of fun too. So, in addition to that, there's also opportunities to be able to support local organizations or groups, sometimes offering discounts to them. It's a long way. Some just examples of people that we've had store at our site: college sororities, the town rec department, the Board of Education. They make fantastic long-term customers often. You're not having to chase them down for rent. They're great customers. We've also been able to get a lot of referrals from them, especially the college sorority. They love to give us referrals and send. We've gotten a lot of the local college basketball team all rent from us because of the recommendation from that sorority. It's awesome. So help them out with a little discount and get those referrals back. It's a wonderful thing, and it makes a lasting impression. That you care. They love to brag about your facility because you make an impact, and because they know you care. You're gonna make an impression on your local community, good or bad. You're gonna make an impression and build a reputation over time. So if you can get your staff out there volunteering to local causes and things like that, those are all things that are going to help your cause and help you build a positive reputation and be that hometown self-storage, not just some random money-making business down the street. There's a difference.
So definitely, Josh, I don't want to be working at the gift wrapping station because everybody would be disappointed when I was done with it. You'd be better off if I handed you a gift bag and said, thank you. Have a wonderful day. I'm the gift bag guy, actually. But, to go off of that, it reminds me of some people I've met that have hosted, and not everybody has the lot space, but if you hosted a small festival or any kind of, people could put a tent on your lot or some gatherings. And if you're kind of that go-to spot in town, if you've got that room to be able to be that person or that business, what that does is it not only strengthens, in the residents of the community, but it strengthens your bond with the actual town leaders. So, I mean, think about that when you're hosting an annual festival, it becomes a tradition in the town. And then one day you're going to ask for some kind of zoning need that you need a variance on, or you're looking to put a new sign up. And here you are, you're talking to the same people that attend your festival, or you deal with these people all the time. And then here you are, finally, you need something. I would think it would go a little easier for you. I can't say 100%, but I think it'd go a little better for you if you had that nice connections throughout the town, for sure.
Nice. Yeah, so it kind of following up to that, doing the quarterly events, really being part of the community. We have a strategy at Storage Authority where we have 100 business alliances, within that 3-mile, 4-mile radius. And even how we train the managers, you go out there and, you don't just say, hey, send us self-storage customers. We're in the transition business, so if we can get out there and we have new neighbors, new residents coming to our community, and how we kind of arm the 100 business alliances in that 3-mile radius is, hey, do you have a rack card or some kind of special discount that could be attractive to a new neighbor or resident? So when we walk in, we're usually handing out a little marketing collateral, and then as we come in, they're handing us stacks of something that we hand out an 8x11 envelope that anybody who comes in, does a facility tour, we give them discounts to the community. So they appreciate that, the fellow business. Now you'll always have your leaders, like your realtors and your movers, or anybody in the transition business as well. But even if it's the mom and pop pizzeria and they want to hand out a welcome to the neighborhood free pizza, or buy a free pizza, get one free, they really appreciate that. They can tell that when we come in, we're not just caring about our bottom right register. We want to really make their registers ring too. And it just really exponentially increases the referrals, as they, you say it's a barber shop or a hairstylist shop, and they have a coupon in our welcome to the community envelope. Somebody sits down and I just moved here and I have so much stuff. I got to get a storage unit. Boom, referral right there because we made that relationship. And really the goal, and what I encourage everybody to do as well, is have that 100 Business Alliance, visit them at least once a quarter. So, that's 10 a week you're hitting, and then you're visiting them once a quarter, stopping by and saying hi. Maybe you visit them virtually on their Facebook page to say, whatever the experience may have been. So they see that. And the goal here is you got to be consistent. And that's where I've seen so many fail is you do it for one quarter and then, you drop off and then you stop doing it for 6 months. And, it's the consistency, and you got to think the seeds that you're planting today, they're going to sow in 9 months from now. You just got to stay the course.
Yeah, totally. It's one of those things that that it takes work, takes, commitment, and that, like you said, that dedication and consistency. But it is worth it. Because, the reality is we're playing the long game. Self-storage is a tricky thing to market. It's such a hyper local, business. It's really hard to sell a unit to someone who doesn't need it, right? But when someone does need the unit, you want to be the first place they think of. And if you have 100 local businesses with your cards on their counter, or you're putting your keychain on every used car that they sell. I have that. I have someone doing that. We have real estate agents that are handing out, your card with every, that has a move-in special to every, new homeowner. You just got into the memory bank of way more people than will ever, walk through your door. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I think social media is a big part of that too. I mean, as you build these alliances, I mean, you can have a newsletter, or you can, get some emails and send that out to everybody, and they'll get regular updates. But, when if your manager's going around and building those alliances, they're known as the Mr. and Mrs. in the community. You want it to be, oh, you need storage. Well, you need to go see Gary or Susan down at, so-and-so storage. I think that, they'll have what you need. And those alliances, not only are you're referring back to their business, but it creates that higher level of community relationship because they know your manager personally, the person that's going out there and doing it. And then and who's doing those posts on social media that are relative to today, current events, or whatever's going on. Your manager would be doing those posts for you and sharing on the different platforms so you get that exposure. And of course, there's all kinds of ways for the manager to tune up how to make them jazzed up so it grabs that attention, and they can learn and grow with that too. But I think that's kind of an essential thing. Another way to meet a lot of businesses is join a chamber of commerce. Chamber of Commerce is a major network of businesses in any area, and they do events too. And when they do events, that gives you an opportunity to sponsor an event. You meet other business owners there too. So if you want to accentuate that business owner meetings of discussions and what's going on in the town, join the Chamber of Commerce. Great way to stay in touch, make some friends.
Nice. Yeah, just to piggyback that too, Drew, back to the quarterly events, and you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce. A lot of times they'll allow you to actually host a mixer where you just have some appetizers and some drinks, and they can kind of walk around, put some nice music on, and stage a few units, and they're networking with each other. So it's that's a good thing there, being part of the Chamber of Commerce. So you just got to utilize it. Don't just sign up and not
Right.
partake in the luncheons and host an event if they'll let you. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, you'll get to know people in several towns. The more alliances you make too. So I mean, what if you expand someday and you meet more people in other towns too that way? I think it's just great to have connections, as many as you can.
Absolutely. Let's see. I'm going to throw up another poll here, and then I'll move on to the next question here, or next topic we want to cover. And I'll throw this to you, Drew. It's really what's the high touch advantage, having curb appeal for that drive-by traffic? What's that look like?
Well, I know I actually wrote a blog on that. It's on our blog page on our website, but obviously again, that's your first physical impression of the location for sure. I mean, when you're coming by there, and what are you going to see first when you drive by? There's ways to tune this up on a quick level. Obviously your landscaping needs to be tuned up. You don't want to have some garbage floating around in the lawn. You almost need to make it a routine. Say, and your manager's there every day, right? They pull into the lot. They can see the fast food garbage that was thrown out of a car, and you got to get it off the lot, and if you're off remote and you're not visiting it often, that stuff's going to linger on you. So I think that's more of an issue, but you need something that's going to catch their eye, whether it be the signage or the landscaping, something that's going to draw them in. And that really just shows you care as a local business, how you represent your product, but also how you stand within the community. Curb appeal has a lot to do with zoning also. If they see that you are not a well-kept location, they don't want to support you as much as the person that's really making a positive impression within the community. I know that a lot of the towns are worried about gateways into the area. Well, you want to shine when people come into the area. You want to have people mention your landscaping or how inviting the location is when they pull in. They want to feel that they're at the right place. A couple tips I'd say on that: if you have an existing location and you really just have that plain fence and your office is just just a bunch of concrete or paving out front, you can go buy some nice flower pots and put some nice, I don't care if they're real or fake flowers. The fake flowers never die. That's easy for me. But get some flowers, get the lighting is ample for all time of the day and night, and show that off. But you can do little flower beds on the corners. You can do a boulder with some flowers around it. All those little things are going to add up to making the customer feel like they're coming to the right place. Get rid of the barbed wire too. The barbed wire, I still see it. We're not, welcome to the jail cell. Barbed wires just doesn't need to be in self-storage. So that's a deterrent right there. It's the message you're conveying to any customer coming to your place the first time is not the right one. You don't need it. But those are my tips. Don't let them see your dumpster either. I recently just came across a facility. I have a story on that. I try to make it quick, but I drove by this place for weeks, and it was a major chain, and I don't know what happened. It looked like their just dumpster exploded for like 3 months, and they just did not pick it up. And that's what you saw from the main street. This fence area was not covered at all. You could look right in it, and just the dumpster trash was all over the place. And then I think one day I drove by and it was all cleaned up, and I never looked again because it just wasn't something I'd look at. But I saw that every time, and that gave me the impression the manager didn't care. So those are my stories on that. But
anything to add there, Josh?
Yeah, so some other things that I love, about the curb appeal, or important things about curb appeal, is just how important it is to change it up. People get blind to things when it's the same, every single day they drive by, it's always the same, always the same. But if you give them something new to look at, it's just going to keep it fresh. They're going to keep looking. Ways to do that: I love the sandwich board. We roll a sandwich board out to the road every day. We change up what's on the sandwich board frequently, sometimes a couple times a week even. We try to keep it light, keep it fun. Sometimes it's promotional. Sometimes it's, some dad joke. I love the dad jokes. They make me laugh. I hope they make the customers laugh. People driving by, they remember, those little things, and they keep looking because they know it's going to be different. Pennant flags in the school colors. We put out these huge, long pennant flags in the school colors every year around graduation time. Huge red, white, and blue banners on the decorative fence for the 4th of July. Those little things, they keep it fresh, keep it different, keep people looking, and people appreciate it and they remember it. I had a customer come in about 2 months ago. She was a customer who had never rented before, but she was telling me about how she remembered before the facility was built, like 15 years ago, that it was farmland. and she was telling me about how she was so, mad that someone was putting self-storage in their beautiful town. And then she went on to say, but you really changed my mind because of how beautiful this place is. And she talked about the beautiful gardens that we have out front and our beautiful sign by the road, and totally changed her opinion, just because we presented so well from the street, from that drive-by traffic. It really looks like a beautiful site, and it is. Our CEO is super into gardening. He's gotten me into it. I think it would be awesome. I think it would be so cool if I could have a garden so beautiful that the high school seniors go there to take their prom pictures. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm making it a goal. I want that to happen, just because I think it would be awesome. But if you can have that impact, just from the drive-by traffic, by maintaining it and doing a good job, what an impact it makes.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, just quickly to add to that, kind of what you said there, Josh. These customers that are driving by your facility, they're your future customers. So you got to get in their memory folder. You got to get them to turn their head. So changing that outward visual to the community every 7 days, and it could be the feather flags. It could be maybe you throw balloons out every other Friday. The holidays, you have 4 days or 4 holidays out of the year where you can throw flags all the way down the drive. All those things are where it's going to get those future customers to turn their head and say, oh, they really care over there. They care about the community. They care about the customer. That's where I'm going to rent when I need it. And that's what it's all about, getting in their memory folder for when they need your services.
Yeah, the change aspect, real super quick story. I know time's a factor, but car dealerships, local car dealerships, they do not buy 20 cars every week. They only may buy a couple. And it's pretty much the same cars in a lot, but they rotate those cars out. So you say, "Oh, look, that's a nice pickup." And it's been on the lot for like a month, but because they rotate it, it caught their eye. And I love my metaphor, so I wanted to mention that real quick. But
Want to just so I closed out the poll, and surprisingly, about 33% are spending less than $1,000. Another 33% in there are in that 2,000 to 3,000 bracket, and then the other third is 3,000 plus. Interesting, kind of split across the board there. So I know we're coming to an end, so I just want to cover a few more things quickly, maybe share some tips. How about and I'll throw this to you, Drew. I know you have decades experience here. Training managers to be high touch superstars. What are some quick tips you can share, stories quickly?
I would say it starts by hiring the right person. When you're doing your interviews, you got to exclude those people that are just not personable. And you can, if you select somebody that's not personable because they're going to show up, but they're just never going to get to that level of high touch that you really need. And you're asking at that point to change an entire person. So you got to find the right person to start with. And then I really think, the tone of their voice and being able to listen is a huge factor. I mean, they need to be willing to learn and understand and implement programs, but the personal factor of being that person that when they come in and they wow, and when you just met them, I mean, that's the person that it has to be. But how they talk and how, if they're just talking in a hurry because they're really quick, they're going to make the customer feel rushed. They've got to be able to, take that moment, even if they're having a tough day, they got to kind of step back and say, "Hey, how are you today?" And realize that it's about the customer, and you have an opportunity every time to build a good relationship with every customer that walks in the door. Maybe the last one went bad and your day didn't go so well, but your tone of voice, how you finish sentences, even if you trail off and you just kind of mumble, or or if you don't get up and do that greeting, it'll all add up into they're doing that to everybody, because almost like they can get away with it with everybody if they're sliding downhill. But you're going to have to go back and touch base. Even professional athletes practice, right? Just because you're the professional doesn't keep you the best for the next 20 years. You got to go back and review with those managers and kind of go back to basics sometimes and make sure you're hitting all, dotting your I's and crossing your T's to make sure that that customer experience is good every time. And then of course, when you learn something new, is try to implement that new with them. When you learn a new tip on a webinar, right? Or you attend a conference and you say, hey, that I'd like to incorporate that. Bring something new into the mix. Keep them excited, because it's easy to become complacent when you're doing the same thing all the time. So you got to revisit your managers and tune them up consistently and motivate them to do the best for every customer. Maybe set goals, have a contest, have some fun with it. Obviously, it's real business, but you got to have a little fun too.
Nice. Josh, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot to add, honestly. I mean, that really nailed it. But that ongoing training really is so important, that it is ongoing. You don't just hire them and train them for, a week and then you're done. You got to keep up with it. They've got to keep that practice going. One of the ways that we like to do it is by secret shopping. And when I secret shop my managers, I tell them that I'm gonna do it, so they know it's coming. But the idea here isn't to catch them in the wrong. The idea here is it gives them an opportunity to sharpen their skills. And in the service that we use for secret shopping, it records the whole interaction, everything. So they're able to listen to that interaction back afterwards, and really, evaluate themselves and say, hey, how did that go? What could I have done maybe a little bit better? What didn't go so well? And that self-evaluation really pays off. It goes a long way.
One more thing. Don't forget to congratulate them when they do great, because we
Yes.
always have our constructive criticism, but when they do it well, tell them great job, because they'll love it.
Yeah, no, well said, Drew. And one thing I'd add there too, obviously you got to have the right system and the training manuals that they can kind of plug into and get better. I've always been big on, role playing and what Drew mentioned earlier, the best athletes in the world, practice to just get a fraction better, 1% better. So if we can have fun with it and role play, so when a customer walks in, they're going to have an amazing experience, because, you hit every example or scenario there could be. But if you're not practicing and if you get 3 rentals a day or 3 walk-ins, each one you're going to get a little bit better, but you could have done that when the bullets weren't live and actually role played with, your owner, your district manager, or manager to manager. So, that would be the tip. If you're not role playing, you're kind of learning at the customer's expense. So I would definitely implement that. Um, I'm gonna type Josh's email in the chat here if you'd like the Crush the Competition book that Mark Gooden, our CEO, wrote. It's 101 ways to market to skyrocket your profits. So I'll put his email in the chat while we jump into the last question here. And it's really what's the perfect blend, guys, right? We're big on high touch, but if you don't have the tech behind you, what's that blend look like so you don't get left behind? I'll throw that to you, Josh.
Sure. So yeah, we do love to talk about that Ritz mindset being, the Ritz of self-storage. And I get funny looks sometimes when I say that, to be like, well, how is that possible? How can you be the Ritz of self-storage as self-storage? But having that mindset and that approach, that focus does allow you to, maintain those higher profit margins, attract customers who value quality and service. And you create those loyal long-term customers. It makes you different from those other, kind of budget-focused competitors. I don't want to be on a race to the bottom when it comes to price ever. So you can't be the Ritz and not have that top-notch concierge service, right? You can't charge more than your competition and not back it up with top-notch customer experiences. And while tough to do in self-storage, all of those little things, it's those 100 little things, those little factors that a manager does when they walk on site with a bucket of, cold waters on a 90-degree day, on a busy Saturday, and hand it out to those customers. That top tier, intentional things, really, they don't happen by accident. It's a choice and it's a priority for the owner and the manager, always. So.
Yeah, well said. Drew?
Yeah, I mean, obviously some of this kind of excludes some of the really tiny facilities that are out there, that, may not even come close to a budget for operating, with the high touch aspect as much, but maybe they have reduced hours or something like that. But I would say that when it really comes down to percentage wise of what you should incorporate, I would say that when you think about high tech, how does adding that bit of high tech end up in being a rental for you? I mean, does it really make a genuine difference in the decision making by the customer? Because you could fall in love with tech all day long and add tech and add tech, and it may not be the right one, or does it really make the customer say, boy, that's what made me rent there? Because some of the high tech out there, it's neat, but it doesn't result in rentals. So you got to watch how you spend on tech. But I would say this, an amazing general manager will get the rental because they made your facility pop, because they're just loving on your facility and they are embracing your customers when they come in. So there's not an exact percentage. Obviously, you don't have much tech, you're probably behind in the ball game. But if you're able to add that high touch, like we said in the beginning, that is exactly what puts you over the top. And incorporating, the training and follow up, it was what really makes it happen to bring your whole facility together.
Nice. Yeah, and just to finish, you got to have the perfect blend. We're always going to champion on meet the customer on the platform they want to do business. We like the high touch. We think we can charge and be price leader, and then back that up. And it's just not lip service. Our motto is treat every customer like $1 million that walks through the door. But if you don't have a call center backing up, and if it's your customers dealing with that customer one-on-one, if you don't have a call center backing your manager up, I mean, you're going to get left behind. So you got to have that tech aspect. If somebody makes a reservation, and boom, they should get a text confirming that reservation and directions to your facility. You got to make it easier for the customer. But end of the day, customers want to rent from actual people, so they'll always have that advantage of having a manager that cares at your facility. But you gotta make sure you're keeping up with the trends of what's important. And any of this tech that we're deploying, it's really one to maximize the revenue at the facility and create a better experience for the customer. I mean, that's what it's all about. But like Drew said, you can't just follow the new shiny object of every single thing that hits our market. It's got to make sense at your facility, and you got to find that perfect blend for your market. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, any tech that captures those missed opportunities, Garrett. That's what I was thinking of. Missed opportunities. If you can have tech find a way to, track that, and there it's out there. Yeah, the call center, the clicks on the website, or whether they fill out a form on the website or not. Those are huge. And then, you have that person to personalized touch to follow up on that, you're going to get them.
Yeah. Well, just be mindful of everybody's time. I just want to, wrap it up here. Obviously, any information, or we're always putting good information on our newsroom. Check out storageauthorityfranchise.com. If you want any tips on how we run our facilities or anything we can help with, go ahead and check us out there. So our next webinar we're going to be doing November 7th, and that'll be same time, 1 p.m. And we're going to be covering 7 site selection tips, looking for those hidden opportunities where you can, possibly develop. So please be on the lookout for that. Every one of our attendees, we appreciate you joining, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.